Welcome, Gold Derby fans and awards watchers. I'm senior editor Daniel Montgomery here with Ray Richmond, Marcus James Dixon, and Denton Davidson. We are here to discuss our Emmy predictions, our final-ish Emmy predictions for the 2024 Primetime Emmy Awards. The nominations will be announced on July 17th. We discussed comedy and drama in separate slugfests. Here we will be discussing the movie limited categories in our prediction center. So let's get started with best TV movie, where we've got in our top five in our odds. Mr. Monk's Last Case is the projected winner, followed by Quiz Lady, Red, White, and Royal Blue, The Kane Mutiny Court Martial, and Scoop. So, who is really passionate about TV movies this year?
Me.
Let's start, Marcus. Let's start with you.
The reason I'm passionate is because the one I'm predicting to win is not even predicted to be nominated, and that is The Great Lillian Hall.
I'm with you.
Jessica Lange, Kathy
She's
Bates,
phenomenal.
right? And did I just miss a lot of the promotional aspects of this? Because I'd never heard of this before a month ago, and all of a sudden I turned it on and like, let me just see what this is, and it blew me away. It's like a female version of The Father with Anthony Hopkins, which of course won Best Actor. And so
she's so good.
She's absolutely phenomenal. It's way too low in the odds. People need to, adjust their
It's been climbing up. It literally premiered on HBO and on Max on May 31st. So I think a lot of people are still catching up with it and updating their odds with it. So I think it'll, by Emmy nominations time, it'll at least be in the top five.
HBO just got it in right under the wire. I think they're gambling that it's going to sneak in under the wire, and every will build buzz immediately, and it did.
And it's way better than Chip and Dale, which won 2 years ago.
But the two movies are compared to one another, so it's hard to tell them apart. The thing is, she's just so good, Jessica Lange. Quiz Lady is a terrific film too, though. I mean, it's a wonderful comedy. Sandra Oh playing completely against type. Awkwafina, really terrific. They have great chemistry. I see that as if I'm just going to throw my picks out there, if that's okay. I still have Mr. Monk's Last Case first, and then Quiz Lady, and then Great Lillian Hall. But I might put Lillian Hall ultimately in first place. Then I have Red, White, and Royal Blue, and Kane Mutiny Court Martial. But there's a film that I also, if I had a dark horse, and I still may move this one up, a movie that got absolutely no juice whatsoever, which was Musica, which was just really a really lovely, wonderful little love story that was completely ignored. I interviewed the lead for it, and he was utterly charming. And you would like to think that movies like this that just kind of sneak in could crack the list. I'm not sure it'll happen.
Yeah, I had Musica in my predictions for a hot minute. I ended up taking it out because it just hasn't gotten buzz, but I wouldn't be surprised if it did. I think I looked through these, and I think it was actually the best reviewed film. I think it had the highest overall reviews, which don't really necessarily matter when it comes to getting an Emmy nomination. No One Will Save You could be another dark horse that was doing well in our odds. It's sort of slowly been dropping, but I have The Great Lillian Hall winning as well, followed by Mr. Monk's Last Case, and then Red, White, and Royal Blue. I think that was just sort of this culture phenomenon. Daniel interviewed the actors, and I think they all got 1 billion view. Everyone wants
billion.
Well, everyone wants everything to do with these guys. And then we've got Quiz Lady and Kane Mutiny Court Martial. I have to see Scoop. I don't think I've seen Scoop yet, so I'm gonna have to check that one out.
And remember, at the Critics' Choice Awards, everyone was predicting Mr. Monk's Last Case, but it was actually Quiz Lady. And I imagine there's not a lot of overlap between the voting of Critics' Choice and Emmys, but still, I mean, Quiz Lady is a winner going into the Emmys already.
And Mr. Monk's Lost Case is on Peacock, which is still sort of getting its footing in terms of, you know, how it's treated at the Emmys. I think Judith Light won last year for a guest starring role, but Peacock is still sort of trying to break through.
But the voters love Tony Shalhoub.
Yeah.
Hasn't he won like 4 of these?
4, I
I think-
believe, yeah. 3
Yeah.
for Monk, 1 for Maisel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I've got Lillian Hall winning as well. Mr. Monk's Last Case. You'd think because of how well Monk did at the Emmys, it would be the front runner, and I had it at #1 for most of this time. I'm literally just switching it out now because you guys convinced me. It's like, oh yeah, of course it's Lillian Hall. But continuations of past shows really haven't done that well. Deadwood didn't win. El Camino, the Breaking Bad movie didn't win. So
Interesting.
So then I've got Quiz Lady, Red, White, and Royal Blue, and Scoop. So moving on to a much more crowded category, but with far fewer slots than it deserves. I feel like we talked about drama, but I feel like if one of these categories deserved 8 slots and the other one deserved 5, it should be the other way around.
Absolutely.
About Best Limited Series, where there will only be 5 nominees. And the current odds say that those nominees will be Baby Reindeer, recently moved into the front runner position to win, followed by Fargo, Lessons in Chemistry, True Detective, Night Country, and Ripley. I've got those top 4, but I'm going on a limb because last year the Emmys decided that the only night on television that mattered was Sunday nights on HBO. So, I've got The Sympathizer in there. So, but that's that I'm working a hunch there. I may switch that out later, chicken out, and go back to Ripley, which was phenomenal. But what have you got, Ray?
I'm going with Baby Reindeer just because it was disturbed me more than possibly anything I've seen in the last 5 years. And so good, so well done, so well acted. And we'll get to the acting, of course, here momentarily. But then Fargo. I'm going back and forth between Lessons in Chemistry and Ripley in terms of order. Ripley was so good. This category is just, as you just alluded to, Daniel, was just packed with quality this year. I have True Detective, Night Country in 5th. I'm pretty much going according to the, how voters are going. But I could easily also vote for if let's say this category had 9 slots and it would deserve it. Griselda, Under the Bridge, The Tattooist of Auschwitz, and Painkiller all would deserve to crack this list. And Masters of the Air. I mean, I think I could make a case for 10 limited series deserving to be here.
Yeah, and you didn't even mention a couple others that I think would be competitive if they were drama series. Fellow Travelers, Feud, Capote versus the Swans. We all know how well Feud did when it was Betty versus Joan. Expats, Genius has done well in the past. MLK X is this season. So yeah, it's Emmys.
It's just an embarrassment of riches here.
Get it together, Emmys. Expand this category next year.
Absolutely.
So what do you have, Marcus?
I'll just add my favorite limited series of the year was Fall of the House of Usher, which I mean is way down in 15th place. That just tells you how amazing this category is this year. But I do have Baby Reindeer winning. It's the beef of 2024. When it came out, everybody was talking about it, and they're still talking about it months later. I think it's going to win a lot of trophies at the Emmys. Second place, let me go back. Second place, I have Lessons in Chemistry. Third place, Fargo. Fourth place, Ripley. I loved Ripley, especially that 3rd episode on the boat. One of the best.
Oh my God. Oh, I still have nightmares about that. It's so good.
One of the best hours of TV of 2024. And then 5th place, I keep switching. I had Masters of the Air. I just switched to True Detective Night Country, which again, when that aired, that was like the talk of the town. It's been a few months, but I think people still remember it.
And Denton? You're muted.
Yeah, I have Baby Reindeer. it has been getting the most buzz out of everything. So I do kind of see this as the beef of 2024. Lessons in Chemistry I have in second, really because it's been consistently getting in everywhere. I mean, this is like the most consistent limited series of the bunch so far, and it's the one that's kind of coming over from the previous awards guild season as well, and it did well. Then I have Ripley, Fargo, and then I am picking Fellow Travelers. You know, this series has a lot of, you know, people rooting it on. There's a lot of heartfelt emotion behind it. We were at the FYC event and it was packed and there were so many people there, and like people love this show. They love Matt Bomer, they love Jonathan Bailey, and the performances, and it's really an important story. So I'm going out on a limb with Fellow Travelers. Again, Showtime, and Showtime's had a tough time getting in lately. But I'm hoping that Fellow Travelers can make a mark on Emmy night. So that said, I'm losing True Detective Night Country, which a lot of people have in Masters of the Air. So, and the Sympathizer could really, I don't know what's going to happen with the Sympathizer. That's the one I'm nervous about, like not predicting. I feel like the Sympathizer could really overperform.
All right, so let's get into these acting categories. Let's start with Best Movie Limited Actress. Our currently again, this category could be expanded from 5 with how crowded movies
easily
series
to 8.
are. Easily, but at least 6, like other lead acting categories. That you know, at the Emmys, I believe lead drama actress has an actor have 6. But our 5 who are predicted for nominations are Jodie Foster, True Detective Night Country is the front runner to win, followed by Brie Larson, Lessons in Chemistry, Juno Temple for Fargo, Sofia Vergara for Griselda, and Kate Winslet for The Regime. Among the names I didn't mention in that top 5 are Naomi Watts, Feud, Capote versus the Swans, Jessica Lange, Great Moving Hall. We talked about that in the TV movie race. Nicole Kidman in Expats, Uzo Aduba in Painkiller. We all know how much they love Uzo Aduba at the Emmys. So again, we could expand this. Julianne Moore is so far down this list for Julianne Moore for Marion George, probably because that's on Stars, and Stars has struggled even more than Showtime has.
I love that show so much.
I did too, and it's so delicious. Like, you know, Julianne Moore gets to chew the scenery in the best way. But who have you got, Denton?
You know, I know that a lot of times they ignore movies in this category, but if anyone can overcome that, it's Jessica Lange. So I had her in first for a while. I just moved her down to second. I do have Brie Larson winning for Lessons in Chemistry, followed by Jessica Lange, Juno Temple, and Fargo. I moved Jodie Foster down to fourth. She's leading our odds, but I just am not feeling the love for True Detective Night Country, so I'm not sure about that win. And then I have Sofia Vergara in for Griselda. And that being said, I have Feud Capote versus the Swans getting nothing. And I know a lot of people have it everywhere, but that's just how Emmy voting works. And I'm going to either get all of that wrong, or all of those people predicting it all over the place will get it wrong. I'm just sort of hedging my bets that that's not Emmy voters aren't going to bite on that one. And maybe I'm wrong. And I just don't see Kate Winslet for The Regime. I don't think The Regime is going to get in anywhere. So that would be sort of a surprising pick. And that being said, I'm picking Sofia Vergara in Griselda, the only nomination I have for that series. So take
That's happened before.
Take what you will for that.
Nominations. Ray?
I am picking, I'm switching places from what Denton just had. I'm picking Jessica Lange to win, and Brie Larson in second. And it's such an iconic performance. Arguably, and this is an Oscar winner, arguably the best thing she's ever done. And it's going to build momentum, I think, throughout Emmy season. It's going to keep building momentum. She'll absolutely get nominated, I believe. And then we'll see what happens from there. But I have Brie in second. I have Jodie Foster in third, and then Juno Temple and Sofia Vergara. And I'm kicking myself because I don't have Uzo Aduba, because Painkiller was such an underrated, underappreciated series that should have been in, that should have gotten a lot more, should get a lot more love than it's going to get.
She got a SAG nomination for that, didn't she?
I think
so.
she did, yeah. And she's so good.
She could get in. Watch out for Uzo Aduba at all times.
Yeah, I just moved her into my 5 just because, you know, if she could get in for In Treatment and she could beat a really rough vote split to win for Mrs. America, yeah, never underestimate her.
I also have Jessica Lange winning, which before the Slugfest, I thought that was kind of a crazy thing to do, but it sounds like we're all kind of lined up here that it's one of her best performances ever. And I mentioned The Father earlier, you know, Anthony Hopkins won for doing a very similar thing at, you know, the early signs of dementia and forgetfulness, and it'll a lot of people, a lot of voters will be able to connect with that. And
about acting.
oh, she's a good actress too.
I mean, like her role, like she's a Broadway actress.
Oh, okay.
Like they love movies about the industry. That's what I'm.
True.
That's true. So I actually have Jodie Foster in third place. It's not actorly. She's kind of like reading the lines. It's not a performance that stands out on this list, to me at least. Naomi Watts is giving a performance. I have her getting nominated. Brie Larson, I have her getting nominated. And Juno Temple, who, if I was a voter, I may actually go for Juno Temple here because I was never a huge fan of Ted Lasso, to be honest, especially her character. I never really understood Keeley, but Juno Temple in Fargo, wow, wow, wow. She is so scrappy and she is the heart of the show, but she's not a victim, and I love that about her. So fingers crossed for Juno Temple.
I might be the only one am I the only one who has Jodie Foster winning then?
A lot of
you are.
I mean, you and most of our readers, she's number one in the odds.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not 100% confident in that, but I'm confident she gets nominated. My top 3, I'm fairly confident in nominations for Jodie Foster, Brie Larson, and Juno Temple. After that, those 2 spots could go to any of like 10 different women. It's so difficult. I just moved in Uzo Aduba and Jessica Lange. Which brings us to the leading men, Best Movie Limited Actor. In our odds, the predicted 5 nominees are John Hamm, Fargo is the frontrunner to win, followed by Richard Gadd for Baby Reindeer, Andrew Scott for Ripley, Tom Hollander for Feud, Capote versus the Swans, and Matt Bomer for Fellow Travelers. Also in this race, again, everybody below that is almost as impressive as everyone I just mentioned. You've got Tony Shalhoub in Mr. Monk's Last Case, David Oyelowo for Lawmen, Bass Reeves, Hoa Zwande for The Sympathizer, Michael Douglas, previous winner in this category for Franklin. So it's incredibly stacked. I have Richard Gadd winning. I've got most of these 5, John Hamm, Andrew Scott, Matt Bomer, and then I've got Hoa Zwande for The Sympathizer as my hunch that it's going to be a thing. And so that would bring him in. So what do you think, Marcus?
Tom Hollander, lock it up. This is one of the easy ones for me. Feud, Capote versus the Swans. 3 years ago, I was the only person at Gold Derby that said Ewan McGregor was going to win for Halston. It was an eccentric, over-the-top, real-life person in a Ryan Murphy limited series. Check, 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 check. Tom Hollander. By the way. You were predicting him?
Yes, I got Ewan McGregor right that year too.
Oh, well, how do you feel about Tom Hollander then? It's the same thing.
Okay.
So I've got him winning, and it's not even a question for me. Like, I don't even want to nominate other people here, but I do have Andrew Scott in second, John Hamm in third, Richard Gadd in fourth. I think Richard's going to win writing, maybe not acting. And then Matt Bomer, Denton, you were mentioning Fellow Travelers as a series contender. I don't have it in series, but I have it getting 2 acting nominations, including Matt Bomer.
Denton?
I'm all over the place on this, other than like I actually have Richard Gadd winning. I think Baby Reindeer is going to be a big thing, and I think his performance is just unlike anything I've seen. So I'm going to go with him. Then I have John Hamm in Fargo. You're convincing me to put Hollander in. I had this theory that they just weren't going to watch Feud Capote versus the Swan. So I for a while I just had nothing in there, but now I'm kind of reconsidering all of that. I have
I
Matt
think the
Bomer.
older voters will definitely watch it.
Okay. So then I have Matt Bomer and Andrew Scott. For a while, I had David Oyelowo because Lamin Bass Reeves, he has been getting nominations for that at the Globes and SAG Awards. So I mean, he has been getting recognition and in that. And then I'm also like Danielle's making me think about the Sympathizer too. And then Michael Douglas, like holy shit.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on.
Category is just insane.
Yeah.
All of the limited categories are
It's a
insane.
lot to deal.
How do
It's
you
a
even
lot to deal with.
And we only get 5. That's not fair.
No.
And to think that, like again, Tony Shalhoub, who has won 3 times for this role, isn't even in our top 5. You know, Michael Douglas, as you mentioned, the Oscar winner and Emmy winner in this category for Behind the Candelabra. He's 90-1. Like it's so much more. And you know, Richard Gadd potentially winning it, as I also have. I think his performance is better than anything that won Oscars this year. So I mean, it's just insane.
And David Oyelowo is out there campaigning like
That's
crazy.
it.
How many lawman events have there been? Like,
Yeah.
I don't even have him getting in. It's crazy.
I have Richard Gadd winning, and then Andrew Scott, who I thought, well, after I watched Ripley, I thought, well, no one could beat him. But then I watched Baby Reindeer. I have John Hamm down in 3rd, and then Tom Hollander, and then Matt Bomer. I'm predicting Tony Shalhoub gets shut out. I know that's sacrilegious, but there's too much going on. And I agree, David Oyelowo. Oh my God, how do you keep him out? But I'm keeping him out. I may put him back in, and then I'm like, oh yeah, Michael Douglas for Franklin. Yeah, I've decided he's not in either. So you know,
And keep in
easily
mind,
you could have 7 or 8 people here, and it would be justified.
John Hamm is winning our odds, but remember John Hamm gets nominated a lot, and he's only won once. I think he has 16 nominations to his name in 1 win. So I mean, keep that in mind when you're making your predictions.
Yeah,
Next up, Best Movie Limited Supporting Actress. We have a justified 7 slots here. Our top 7 in our odds are Callie Rice for True Detective Night Country is predicted to win, followed by Jessica Gunning for Baby Reindeer, Jennifer Jason Leigh for Fargo, Asia Naomi King for Lessons in Chemistry, Diane Lane for Feud, Capote versus the Swans, Nava Mao for Baby Reindeer, and Sandra Oh for The Sympathizer. Also in the running here, Lily Gladstone, recent Oscar nominee for Under the Bridge, Dakota Fanning for Ripley, Chloe Sevigny for Feud, Capote versus the Swans, Kathy Bates for The Great Lillian Hall. So this could go in any number of directions. What do you think, Ray?
Yeah, another oh my God category. I don't see how Jessica Gunning loses. I just don't. I think she's one of the 2 or 3 major locks of the Emmys. Then I have Jennifer Jason Leigh for Fargo. You know, I mean, my God, she's Jennifer Jason Leigh, and Diane Lane. I mean, my God, she's Diane Lane. Asia Naomi King, so good in Lessons in Chemistry. I have her in there. I had Sandra Oh for The Sympathizer, and I'm also picking Kathy Bates, which I know is a sort of my dark horse pick for Lillian Hall. She was kind of she played off of Jessica Lange so beautifully in there. And then I'm not sure what to do with my 7th, Kelly Reese or Nava Mao. I'm flipping a coin. And if I had a dark horse, it would be somebody who doesn't have a chance in hell of nomination. And that's not Chloe Sevigny, but a different Chloe Guidry from Under the Bridge. I don't know if there are any Under the Bridge fans here, but you know, she was the mean girl and kind of the instigator of the murder in the series. And she's so good. I interviewed her for Gold Derby, and she's just this polite, sweet Southern belle from Tennessee. You're just like, you would never know. She was just such a horrible human being in that series, and clearly amazing acting. I may try to put, I can't put, there are just too many other people.
Yeah. Under the Bridge is such a great show. I mean, again, the depth of these limited series categories. That was one of my favorite limited series.
So well done.
Anyone who loves true crime, I mean, it was so well acted and well done. And that in this category specifically, Lily Gladstone, she's not even in our top 7.
No, that's right. We're ignoring
Just
the
glossed
Oscars.
right over her. So I agree though that Jessica Gunning, I just can't imagine her losing this. To me, speaking of Kathy Bates, who I also have nominated, this is sort of like Kathy Bates's Misery Oscar. Like it's just like she's such a creepy like psycho stalker, but there's something you just like in her. Like there's some
Feel sorry for her.
yeah, you feel bad for her. So unlike someone we're going to talk about in the next category, which, but Jessica Gunning, I think she's going to win. Before that, when I saw Fargo, and I love Jennifer Jason Leigh, so I was like, oh, no one's going to beat her. Yes, she's finally going to snag that Emmy, but probably not anymore. And then I do have Kathy Bates. I feel like if you watch The Great Lillian Holland, you're not going to take Jessica and leave Kathy out. I feel like
Exactly.
you're going to take both of them. Asian Naomi King, Diane Lane, and then I think Nava Mao. Is that how you say that? Will ride the Baby Reindeer train.
I also have Jessica Gunning winning this in a lock, essentially. And keep in mind, she's really a lead character in Baby Reindeer. I think they just campaigned her in supporting. Maybe they thought it was an easier win for them, but she's the lead. I mean, that's going to help her, all that screen time that she has. And Netflix
She'd win and lead if they put her there.
Did you think she would win and lead?
Yeah, if they had put her there, I think she would have won that too. I think it's
interesting.
I
mean, all the posters for Baby Reindeer show her like front and center, and then he's like in a little a jar or something. But anyways, Netflix did an FYC event just for Jessica Gunning, and it was sold out. Like, who else could do that? Someone you've never heard of a year ago is now selling out events. She's got this locked up. And then I have other people that you guys mentioned. I'm not going to go through all of them, but Dakota Fanning is someone I have in here that I haven't heard her yet. And
I have her and I just switched her out. Like that's just like
why did you switch her out? Why? I mean, should I follow you? I loved her in Ripley.
I also love her, but I switched her out for Diane Lane because you guys were convincing me that they're gonna actually watch Feud Capote versus the Swans. Like
yeah.
I had completely snubbed that show, and now you convinced me that was sort of stupid. So like when I was looking through it, I just thought Dakota's probably gonna get in, and I'm leaving Nava Mao because I just feel like there's like when they take a show like they just everyone goes for the ride.
I think she's safe for a nomination. And they only submitted 4 actors total, like Richard Gadd, Jessica Gunning, Nava Mao, and then a supporting actor whose name is Tom Goodman Hill. So I think all 4 are probably going to get in.
Tom Goodman Hill was who I was going to bring up as like the reason I don't see him getting a nomination in going along for the ride is because he is like the sexual predator that you don't feel sorry for.
Interesting.
And he made me uncomfortable, and he deserves it for his acting. He's very good, but that's the reason I'm leaving him off my Baby Reindeer train to the Emmys. It's just because the character he plays is really not redeeming it in any way.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Which brings us to I forgot to mention my picks. I've got most of the same one as everybody else. I agree, Jessica Gunning's got it. Am I the only one predicting Risha Moorjani for Fargo? I think voters are watching Fargo. I think if they're watching Fargo, they nominate her along with Jennifer Jason Leigh, especially because she's one of the more she's your relatable cop character, your Frances McDormand kind of role. So I think she gets in. That's a hunch, so I'm not entirely sure. But I've got Callie Rice, Jennifer Jason Leigh, Nava Mao, Asian Naomi King, and Sandra Oh I still have no one from Feud, Capote versus the Swans in my predictions. You guys might convince me to put someone in there. I'm not sure who, I'm not sure where, and I'm not sure when.
All of the
So
supporting Swans, supporting actresses are, it's like, I don't think one stands out over the other. So I think that's why I'm not
They're a
predicting.
little interchangeable.
Yeah. Even, I mean, I love Callista Flockhart. But I'm like, I wanted more of her. Where was she? It was like they all had the certain amount of screen time they had to do, so no one really stood out. Whereas, I mean, Naomi up in lead definitely deserves a nomination.
I wonder if it'll end up being like a little like Mrs. America, where it's got such a stacked supporting actress cast that in our odds, I remember we were literally predicting. I think it was Sarah Paulson and Margot Martindale, was it? And they ended up nominating three entirely different women from the cast.
Yeah.
So like I could see that happening for Feud, as much as I could see no one getting in, as I'm currently predicting. But again, maybe not for long. We'll see. Which brings us to our last movie limited category for supporting actor. The 7 predicted nominees are Robert Downey Jr. is the frontrunner to win for The Sympathizer, followed by Lewis Pullman for Lessons in Chemistry, Jonathan Bailey for Fellow Travelers, John Hawkes for True Detective Night Country, Joe Keery for Fargo, the late Treat Williams for Feud, Capote versus the Swans, and Finn Bennett for True Detective Night Country. Now, I was actually wrong. This is actually one category where I do have Feud in there. I do have Treat Williams in my list.
Yeah.
I've got Robert Downey Jr. to win sort of by default. He's one of the reasons I put The Sympathizer into limited series. I'm like, if it's winning supporting actor, then it's hard for me to square that with not predicting The Sympathizer for limited series. Then after him, I've got Jonathan Bailey, Lewis Pullman, Treat Williams, but I've got a trio from Fargo. I've got Sam Spruill. I think actually has a better shot even than Joe Keery, but I also have Joe Keery in there, and I've got Lamorne Morris. So I think that's one of those cases where voters are definitely watching a show and they check off multiple names. What do you think, Marcus?
Yeah, I've got a lot of the same predictions you have, except my winner is different. I have Jonathan Bailey winning this, and it's my only thing for Fellow Travelers in terms of win. And Showtime, they don't have the best track record with the Emmys, but sometimes they do. Sometimes they have a homeland that's just so big to ignore. And I feel like Fellow Travelers could be that, especially in this category. So I've got Jonathan winning. He won the Critics' Choice Award. And then I have Lewis Pullman in second, Robert Downey Jr. in third, John Hawkes in fourth, Sam Spruill in fifth. And actually, he's my only Fargo, because then I have Treat Williams, and then I just put Tom in for Baby Reindeer.
Denton?
So you are going with Tom. Okay.
I added him during this chat.
As I was making my argument against him.
Yeah.
I have Jonathan Bailey winning as well. I think he deserves to win, and I think he should win, and I hope he does win. And then I have Robert Downey Jr. just because, the year he's having. John Hawkes, True Detective, Lewis Pullman, Lessons in Chemistry, Sam Spruill, Joe Keery, and then Finn Bennett. There were some other people down the line I would love to have thrown in. I would have liked to, for a while I had Noah J. Ricketts for Fellow Travelers in there as sort of like the last little spot. But there's a lot going on. I was looking through this and not a single acting nomination for anyone from MLKX. If that happens, it will be the first Genius anthology to have not an acting nomination. So I guess watch out for that, or either it's going to happen and it's unfortunate for the series, or we're making a mistake somewhere and we need to get some sort of MLKX actor in here. And in this category, that would be Ron Cephas, a posthumous nomination for him, which wouldn't be unwarranted. He gives a incredible performance in MLKX. So, maybe that's the dark horse here. I don't know. I looked through this list and you got Barry Keoghan and Hugh Grant. It goes on and on. Mark Ruffalo. I would have loved if All the Light We Cannot See was doing better. I would have Mark Ruffalo in there as well.
Right?
Yeah, I can't vote against a recent Oscar winner for first place, so I'm picking Robert Downey for The Sympathizer to win, and then Jonathan Bailey second for Fellow Travelers, and then Lewis Pullman, who is really incredibly quite good for Lessons in Chemistry. I have Treat Williams posthumously there in fourth, Joe Keery for Fargo, John Hawkes for True Detective, Sam Spruill for Fargo, or my seven.
Does that mean you're changing to Emma Stone for drama actress?
No,
You
no,
just said you can't go against a recent Oscar winner. So
I know.
I want to make
So I'm contradicting myself even as I say it. I can't go against Robert Downey Jr. as a
Okay.
recent Oscar winner. But yes, she's just too weird. I can't vote. She's too weird in The Curse. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they don't give
opposed to-
Emma Stone awards for playing weird characters ever.
Yeah.
No. Well, yes, they did.
Keep digging, Ray. Keep digging.
I know. I'm halfway to China already. But I could pick another different handful of people who would be equally merited as nominees. Johnny Flynn for Ripley, Barry Keoghan for Masters of the Air, absolutely Hugh Grant for The Regime, and Anthony Boyle or Nate Mann for Masters of the Air. There's so many people that were really good. Mark Ruffalo, not so much for All the Light We Cannot See, although I would have liked in a different category to see Aria Mio Roberti be nominated. She's so phenomenal in that film. But yeah, Mark Ruffalo, not his strongest role.
Well, does anyone have any final thoughts before we wrap up this discussion of the movie limited categories?
Just that the Academy needs to really rethink this and not, so limit. Maybe that's why it's called limited. They're limiting the nominees way too profoundly here, and this seems to be just absolutely the hottest category list at the Emmys, and they're emphasizing drama, which is having a completely down year at the expense of
This, I think we're gonna see a Baby Reindeer sweep. We didn't talk about writing and directing, but it could easily win both of those. And I mean, just like Beef last year, when they like a show, they love a show.
Should all be Gad. I mean, he created the show, stars in it, so it could be a huge night for him.
Yeah, he could be this year's Phoebe Waller-Bridge.
Does the lawsuit from the actual alleged stalker matter in terms of honoring that show?
I don't think so.
I watched that interview and I don't think there's a lot of sympathy for her, the real person. I feel like there was more sympathy for the actress who played her. Honestly, I don't think she came across very well.
Probably true. Yeah.
That's ironic for her to come off more poorly than the actress portraying her, and for her to be suing that it makes her look bad.
I'm not gonna say anything bad about her because I don't want to be sued.
No, I mean, it would be. I don't think it'll affect the performance at the Emmys. I'm not going to judge the lawsuit until it's like adjudicated. But yeah, it is really interesting because if you believe what you see in Baby Reindeer, then her suing over Baby Reindeer would be
makes perfect sense.
It makes perfect sense. But then that's what she's talking about. That's how it makes her look. So it's this weird catch-22.
You had the original lawyer she stalked. We're getting off topic now, but the original lawyer she stalked has since come out and said how awful it was too. So I mean, anyway, I think Baby Reindeer is going to have a very good night at the end.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I'll close it out there.
And that's where we will close it out. We will be looking at our predictions, certainly between now and July 17th when the nominations are announced. We will probably change something or other. We've changed things as we've been talking about the Emmy nominations. So you, Gold Derby watcher, awards pundit, you can go predict the nominees right now. In drama, comedy, movie limited categories, variety, reality. And one of you will probably outscore all of us in terms of the number of correct predictions you get. Show us how it's done. So with that, I would like to thank everyone for joining me here on this panel, and thanks to everyone for watching and listening. It's been a pleasure discussing this wild Emmy race.